Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Jade's Garage. It is Monday, November 11th, 2024. Yes, it is Veterans Day. So let me start off by saying if you are a veteran, I salute you. Whoops, let me get my bell working. And I thank you for your service. I know many of you know that I am a veteran. I don't go out of my way to kind of push that up or make that a priority, but on this day, I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve this country. So I know that there's a lot out there who have served in various branches of the military, and I'm sure we all have our great stories and memories of those days years ago. I think about it almost every day whenever my knees hurt and my back hurts, and I remember jumping out of airplanes and rappelling out of helicopters and doing all kinds of crazy stuff that when you're young, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, you're bulletproof and you don't think about it. But I would not change a thing. I'm grateful that I was able to be in the military, and it really put me on a path in my life. There's many reasons people join the military. Some do it for the educational benefits, which I took advantage of that. Some do it just to start a new life and break away from where they're at and go see the world, and the opportunity is out there. I'm also grateful that my youngest son was also in the military. He was in the National Guard and the Air Force Reserves, and he got to do some stuff that was pretty cool as well. So very, very proud of him. And nothing against anybody who didn't serve. I don't look down on anybody like that. It's not the point. But I am grateful that I was able to enjoy my 3 years in the light infantry and do some crazy stuff and blow up things, and really, really good memories. So, anyway, tonight, well, let's talk about cars. And I say this every week. I try to focus in a time period of cars that were made between 1955 and about 79, 80, somewhere in that range. And with that, I'm going to talk about a car that I came up on Facebook Marketplace that I really wish I could probably get, but I'm not gonna. I'll bring that up in just a minute. I have been working on the Cobra Jet, obviously, and as you can see, every week the layout of the garage kind of changes. So, I've had these scissor stands here holding all kinds of parts. I actually went so far as to buy a new scissor stand because I was running out of places to put all these pieces and parts. And then I also bought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it or not. Let me slide it over here so you can see. I also bought one of these, which is a panel tree type of stand, and it has these hooks on it. And these are all adjustable height-wise, and these are very good at a body shop. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it exactly the way I intended with the Cobra Jet, but it may come in handy for doing some of that stuff. Now, those are really good for hanging doors and stuff. So you can paint a panel of a door and have it mimic being on the car instead of laying it flat on a stand. So that has a big benefit for that. As you can see in the thumbnail for tonight's show, I have all the big pieces of sheet metal on the Cobra Jet. And yesterday, Roger stopped by and helped me put the hood on, and we adjusted the hinges and got it to cycle. And we're using the dynacorn premium hinges, and I can't say enough about those hinges. They're fantastic. So if you're on the fence about what you want to use in your car and you're looking for a standard type of hinge, get the dynacorn premium and you won't regret it. But the hood is on, the fenders are on. There's still some adjusting that I'm going through. So what I like to do whenever I'm getting ready or close to paint, I'm going to do some final adjustments, and I want to do shim installation. I want to get the fenders on sitting right, and if I need to put in the shims so that they sit correctly, then I will do that, and then I make my own little notes so I know this had 2 shims here and this had 1 shim there, and it helps whenever it comes time to put everything back together that you're not second guessing all those pieces. So I know I ran into a bit of a conflict, and it's on me. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but I'm not happy with a gap that's on the passenger side. I know that I worked the driver's side more than the passenger side whenever I was test fitting everything, and there's a section of the fender just a little bit wider than I want it to be. And I know I'm not building a show car. I'm not building a car that's going to SEMA. I'm not trying to get it dead on perfect. It's just not worth it. These cars, we know, did not fit very well. And if you're in the ballpark, you're usually pretty good. But I may end up doing a little bit of welding, maybe. But I know how I am. I stress out over gaps. I want to have them all perfect. But I also have to realize this car wasn't meant to be perfect. And I can't take it too far. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So I have to keep that in mind whenever I'm doing these sort of things. Now, unlike Jade, I wanted to have everything dead on, and the advantage there was I had the original doors and the original fenders, and of course we know that the Cobra Jet, I'm fighting with a few pieces here and there that may not be exact. So the other thing that I was going to talk about, and since I brought it up already, and it's on my mind, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up. I've mentioned before that I've had I've had lots of different cars, many cars over the years. And one of the cars that always interested me was the 78 and 79 Chevy Malibu. Now, some people couldn't care less about those cars, and that's fine. Other people know that those cars have potential to be fantastic race cars. It's one of the few that were still a full frame car. You could get them in 78. You could get it with a 350 engine, and you could get it with a 4-speed. And so I've always kind of had an idea or I don't know, a want for one of those cars because they're rare, for one thing, to find a 4-speed Malibu in any of that time period. I have found a station wagon, which is rare in itself. That is a 4-speed station wagon. So the other one, I've seen two other ones that were, I think they were 4-speed cars originally, but they were both V6 cars, which is kind of odd. So anyway, one of these popped up on Facebook Marketplace, and I think it's out in Iowa, and it's a 79 Malibu, and it has the 4-speed in it. It's a V8 car. It has the tack dash, which is, again, a rare option on those cars, and the F41 suspension, which is an upgrade from stock. And it's not in the best of shape, and I know I'm not going to get it, but I was really shocked to see that car appear on Marketplace. It's like, they do exist, It's interesting to think about the production numbers of some of these cars. They made tens of thousands or whatever of various models, but there were a handful of these cars in particular that had bucket seats in them, had 4 speeds, and it was kind of the last ditch effort of, say, the muscle car kind of era. I think in some respect they tried to make something out of it to make it a little more performance oriented, but they were all choked down with emissions anyway, so it really didn't make much difference. But I am going to get the show started. We'll see who has showed up tonight, and let's go. So first in is Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Rick. And since Rick is early, I have a new batch of coffee. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. Rick Gain. Nice day here in New Jersey. Looking forward to some good car conversation. Everybody hit the like and thumbs up button, and be sure to subscribe. Yes, thank you, Rick. So Rick. And our first Dave sighting. Dave Tyson. Good evening. Thanks for your service, Barry. Yeah, thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Terry Keithley, happy Veterans Day. Thanks to all vets. Please hit the thumbs up and like button for Barry, Terry, and Betty, and the cats. Thank you, Terry. And we have Dave Britton, our second Dave sighting. Hello, Dave. Roger checking in from next door, fellow vet. Glad you're here, Raj. And Rusty's Restoration. Good evening, all. I'm Barry from Southern Indiana. Happy Veterans Day to all you vets. And an extra thumbs up for you, Barry. Well, thank you, Rusty. Appreciate that. Jerry is checking in from the Money Pit in Tennessee, and he's letting Rick Gain know that he's interested in his car. So Rick has let me know that he's going to be selling his Mustang, and I know that Jerry had shown some interest in getting another Mustang, and I'm trying. I know I sent an email. I think you were both connected on the email, so I don't know if you both saw that or not, if it went to the junk mail or not. But I sent a group email with both of you connected. So if you want to communicate, that's probably an easy way to do it. But glad you're here, Jerry. If I didn't already give you a bell, get a bonus bell. Robert, Infernal Craftsman, evening all. Fall is finally here with 77 for the high. Finally got a little rain, and now we have grass or something starting to grow. Yep, good time to grow grass in the middle of November. Troy Justit, good evening and happy Veterans Day to my fellow veterans. Go Army and go Eagles. Thank you, Troy. Glad you're here. The bowler hat guy, David. Hello, all. Good evening, Barry. Good evening. Travis Holtman, my #1 patron. Not going to watch tonight, but checking in. Okay. Well, maybe you can watch it later. Thank you for being here. Black GTX. No, I know. I know you told me your name before. I know, and I want to say Kevin, and I'm probably wrong. Let me think here. Let me see if I'm right. No, that's going to be Mark. That's Mark. Sorry, Mark. I knew somebody. There's somebody named Kevin that showed up. So I'm glad you're here. Jerry is also saying good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thank you, Jerry. Steve Reed from Paducah, Kentucky. Hello, Barry and everyone. Hope everyone's doing great. Thank you, Steve. Richard Vogel. Happy Veterans Day, Barry. Thank you for your service to our country. Well, thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. Rick Stevenson. Fly Navy. Why not? We need all of them. All of them to do well. Michael Pagliarini, evening all. Good evening, Michael. Jerry says, thank you for your service. Thank you, sir. How's that left ear doing? What? What is that? What are you talking about, Tim? That's RC Guy Garage, by the way. That's Tim. How's that left ear doing? What did I do to my left ear? Am I confused? I'm confused, Tim. I don't know what you're talking about. Left ear. I don't know what you're saying, man. Jay Living, thank you to all of our veterans. Yes, thank you. RC Guy Garage, 36 in here, only 16 thumbs up. Yep. Hopefully they catch up. We'll find out. EJ McConaughey, I guess. Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well today. Happy Veterans Day to all who serve. Thank you, appreciate that. Jerry checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. The weather sucks since I'm at work, but I hope everyone's day is awesome. Many thanks to our veterans for all that you did. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. Rick, I salute all veterans. If not for my eyes, would have joined the Navy right after I turned 18 years old, and I would have been very proud to have done so. Yes. And I understand that, Rick. Not everybody can, there's various reasons. In fact, my brother tried to join the Army, and they rejected him because of his hearing. So no fault of your own, and nothing negative about that at all. So appreciate you. Jay Living, 68 GT3 4-speed. I drove it 17 miles last week. Now I'm having to pull the motor out and have the block work done yet again. It blowed the head gaskets off of it? Whoa. What the heck? So what did... GT390 blew the head gaskets off of it. Okay, so we need some more details on that. So what is that? What's been done to it? what heads are on it, what kind of bolts are used to hold the heads on. That's crazy. Blows the head gaskets off of it. I've never heard of that, honestly. That something's not right. So sorry to hear that. Give us some more information so we can talk about it. 68 Orange Crate, Semper Fi, Marines, and a big salute to all of our veterans. Thank you, Orange Crate. Dawn's Manufacturer, hello folks from Soggy 45 degree PDX. Glad to hear, Dawn. Troy Dustit, do you have the tractor up and running yet? Ba-da! Yes, I do. It runs and drives, and I frequently, I'll start it up and just go drive it to the mailbox, pick up mail, and drive back. Yes, it is up and running. Dawn's Manufacturer, thank you, military members, for your service. Yes, thank you, Dawn. Robert, the 78 to 88 G bodies were the last of the full-frame cars, decent-sized cars, and a great platform for performance. Next year, my AE4 El Camino will make an appearance as I redo it again and sell it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that drag race those things, and especially with the sedan model where it has a Landau roof thing, so an extra has a B-pillar. I like the hardtops myself, but the B-pillar, I've had 3 of those cars. I think 3. I had a blue V8 car that I put a 350 in. Really liked driving that car. I think it was a Landau roof too. I don't remember now. And then I had a 4-door, and then I had another gold colored one that somebody was trying to build into a drag race car or something. And that was just one that I bought and resold. But I still like those cars. Black GTX Mark. Yes. Thanks, sir. Dave Conville. Good evening, all. Thanks to Barry and all who served. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Rick Gain, is very difficult to watch the stream on YouTube. The live stream on YouTube, and it's not live because I always want to comment but can't. Yeah, I know it's difficult. It always gets out of order because it's just how it works, but really hard to do anything about that. Michael, does anyone know if a set of 08 GT wheels fit on my 65? The 08 look like torque thrust 17 by 8, 5 on 4.5. Offset is 45 millimeter. I have seen people put those on the early cars. I've seen pictures, and I don't know if there's any major conflict with that, other than the offset, because the old style wheels are much deeper, but those newer ones, the offset is a lot different. So the face of the wheel sits out flush, or more flush. But I have seen quite a few Mustangs with those wheels on, so I can't say for sure if there's anything that needs to happen, to make that work. So any input, let us know. Tony, I guess Fadiga. I'm going to say Fadiga. How about that? Painted my 66 coupe in a garage last Monday and missed a show. Night mist blue, more orange peel than Florida, and lots of dust. But I'm real proud, fired up for the first time in over 40 years. Oh, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Over 40 years. I have something else I'm going to talk about too as we get further along, dealing with Jade. Nick Moss is checking in. Hello, Nick. Dawn's Manufacturer. So it looked like you got muggy weld figured out. Pretty much. It was, it was not as easy as I thought it was going to be, but somebody had commented that there's different elements in some of these muggy weld brands or whatever, and they talked about the headlight buckets being, I think, high zinc, and so they were commenting you need to get the right rod to make it work, and it seemed to work. It's hanging on, so I'm okay with it, but I really didn't do any research. I just looked and said muggy weld. Okay, there it is. I didn't know there were variations, that they had other brands or anything. I didn't see anything like that. So my fault for not digging into it further. But thank you, Don. Oh, left ear mortars. No, it's the right ear. Sorry, it's the right ear. Yeah. So, thank you, Tim. I get it now. Mortar launcher. Yeah. As a mortar gunner, if I can give you some perspective, so to my right is the mortar tube, and the diameter is 81 millimeters, so it's about 3 inches or so. And so the sight unit is right next to it. So the mortar's here and the sight unit's here. So my right ear is closest to the tube. And yes, I do have bad hearing in, well, both ears, but my right ear is worse. And the ringing, oh gosh, the ringing is constant. Yay. But anyway, yeah, so the right ear. And I'll tell you about an incident that I had in a live fire episode. We were in soft ground, and when you fire these mortars, the base assembly that holds the cannon will sink into the ground. It'll get lower and lower and lower. So it was so low that I was on my knees doing the adjusting of the gun. And we had a new trainee who was a second lieutenant. He was a desk jockey, but he was transferring into an infantry unit, which is kind of weird. But he ended up firing a round when I wasn't ready, meaning somebody had handed him a live round to fire because he was going to be the assistant gunner and drop it in the tube. And as I was adjusting the gun, I didn't know it because everything's chaotic and there's lots of noise and stuff. He had put the round, because you have to set it in the tube and let go of it and slide your hands down so you don't blow your hands off. And so I was setting up the gun, and the tube assembly was right here next to my head. And as I started to lift my head, he had dropped the round into the tube, and it exploded, of course, launched this projectile. So I got a blast that knocked me to the ground, and they had a hard time keeping me from beating him senseless. Yeah, it was not a good day. Not a good day. Robert says, I am jealous of that little tractor. Yeah. I mean, this thing, I can't beat it, and I put a stack on it. I got an exhaust. It was meant to lay down like this way, like for a mini bike. And I cut the tube and re-welded it so that it's sticking straight up off the side. Robert, the El Camino had a longer wheelbase and 54-46 weight distribution. Interesting. Robert, over most years, was in that range, actually. Okay. Bowler hat guy, ring in your ears, that's 10%. Yes, it is. Yeah. And the bad part is I've taken hearing tests, and they'll say, oh, yeah, you've lost hearing, but you're not bad enough. Thanks. Richard, what can be done to repair 65 and 6 headlight buckets that someone reamed the mounting holes out? You talking about the big assembly that goes to the fender, or are you talking about the little extension pieces? Let's narrow that down. I don't know which one. Let me know which one you're referring to. Rick Stevenson, working on aircraft and around aircraft for 35 years. I too suffer from constantly ringing ears. Yes. Oh yeah, and I've tried all kinds of stuff. The ringing is one thing, but now I'm starting to get, and I don't know if it's a phantom sound, but it almost sounds like a motor running somewhere, like a mechanical sound. And I know there's nothing going on in our house. It's not like the heater's running or anything like that. It almost sounds like in my ear that there's a motor or something running along with all the ringing. So it's like, oh, great, too much going on. Travis Berry, you didn't use a sandblaster to remove paint, etc. on the front fender buckets. No, I did not. This blaster is okay. But it's small. So when you put something in there that size, you have to get your hands back and kind of scrunch up to get in there and blast it, and you can't really see what you're doing. And I think I ran the risk of breaking stuff. You know, those tabs that are, I had to rebuild that one tab with that metal grate that's inside of there. And if I'm trying to move that thing around and reposition it and whatnot, there's a good chance I could break the thing. So I didn't want to risk that at all. And using various, you know, sanding stuff and the finger bristle wheel that I talk about all the time, did a great job and took care of it. So it would have been easier had it been if I had a bigger blaster. Yes, I could have set it down and gone, you know, around the edges and on top and different things like that. But this one's way too small for that purpose, and I can't run the risk of damaging those pieces. So. Richard, the big part that bolts to the fender. Okay, so they reamed out the holes. Now, I don't know if, from what I've seen, at least if you go look up the MIG Weld, like go to their YouTube channel, they show them filling in holes, like melting that stuff and filling in holes. And I can tell you, at least from what I've done with this, when I was grinding on it and stuff, it felt very strong. So you may be able to take a piece of copper or brass or something and put on the back side of that and melt the muggy stuff into it. You know, create, you know, kind of like welding, but melt that into that hole and create a new hole. That's what I would suggest. I think Don, I don't know what Don has done. I know he has worked on his car using MIG Weld. I never saw that video. So I think he, you know, Don's manufacturing. So he probably, I've heard somebody had said that he used that stuff as well. So maybe he did something similar. But I think that stuff would work fine. You just have to build a platform for that to melt to, so that it, you know, doesn't just fall through. So but look up MIG Weld and see what their products are. If they say use this in particular for the pot metal stuff, because when I bought it, I didn't do my research. I just went, oh, there's some MIG Weld, I'm going to buy it, and I think I got it off of Amazon, and I didn't research it enough, but it's holding and it's doing what it's supposed to do, because it's not like it's holding the wing on an airplane, so it's not that critical. Mark, 30 years working on semi trucks, my ears ring constantly. Yeah, it's a curse. Robert, I have the constant what sounds like the noise from a TV channel on channel 3 and the odd piercing sound. Yeah. Yes. Rusty, when you get a run in your paint, what method do you use to sand it out? I tried glazing putty over this run and sanded it down, and it worked good. I have done that, and I did a video on that as well on Jade. I demonstrated that exact technique. On the light blue Mustang that I did years ago, I had a run on the door, and I actually took a razor blade and I scraped it down until it was flush, and then wet sanded it and then buffed it out, and it was fantastic. But yeah, I've done that glazing putty stuff, and I did it on Jade, and it works. It works good. Travis, super sticker. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. Richard, I bought a headlight bucket from a swap meet, and someone had reamed out the holes for more adjustment. Thanks for your help, Barry. Yes. Yeah, and like I said, look at the MIG site and look up Don, because I know he did something, but I never saw the video. But somebody else had said that he had done that. Dave Tyson, I picked up a 302 Marine engine from my wife's 66 Mustang. A Marine engine. Well, I hope it's a good thing. When I think about them, like the Marine engines, at least older stuff, I was thinking like there's something odd about them for using them in a car. I mean, I know that they're water cooled or something, but I don't know enough about them. But assuming it should be suitable to put into a car. But I've not done that. Nick says she'll have to put it in reverse to go forward. Okay. Dave Tyson, it's an out of a 94. Okay. Yeah, I haven't really considered that, but I'm sure it'll work. Lewis, I purchased a 454 and have discovered it has a stripped out head bolt. And I found out someone had misaligned the hole with a helicoil and just got the head bolt to turn only a few threads. That's not fun. I don't know what your fix is on that. If they got that messed up, that's, I don't know what the answer is for that one. You have to get one of the, I've seen jokingly said they've seen those offset bolts. No. I don't know what the fix is. I've never seen that, and that's very disappointing. Now it's possible, and I say possible, and I don't know how well it works. I know people that have done cast iron welding, and it's a difficult task. There's a lot of steps you have to do to weld cast iron. So I don't know if that's a possibility on those or not. I've seen people weld up exhaust manifolds. I did cast iron welding years ago when I was in welding school, but I don't know if that works for what you're needing to have done. So if anybody has any suggestions as to how to fix up a hole that is messed up, I guess the other alternative, I don't know. That's pretty messed up. I don't have an easy answer for that. But thank you for the question. 68 Orange Crate. Have the same headlight bucket issues with the 68 Orange Crate. Thanks for the muggy info. You're welcome. Like I said, look them up. Make sure you get the right stuff. This stuff, whatever I got, it worked, but, look it up. Jay Living guy also went out of business when I got my motor back. Oh, yeah. So talking about blowing the gaskets out of the 390. So that's really odd. I've never seen head gaskets blow out of an engine before. My only thoughts were the wrong head bolts used? Was there not enough torque on them? Were they, there's a lot of things that can go wrong if you don't build the engine properly. Now, I've built engines before, and I'm, being an aircraft mechanic, I'm a little bit anal about things. So I try to make sure everything is exact. But it's hard to say what may have happened with the, with that car or that engine. Mark, some but not all marine engines are reverse rotation. Okay. And Rick says, are marine engines designed to run backwards? I believe that's the case anyway. Yeah, some do. Some do. Robert, there are reverse rotation marine engines which are worth big bucks as they have a special distributor and camshaft. Grab them if you find them cheap. Okay. Thank you, Robert. Rusty, I had a friend that was wanting to join the live stream. Does he have to be subscribed? Shouldn't have to be subscribed. If he's got a YouTube username, I think is the only thing you have to have. If you have a YouTube account, there shouldn't be any issue. Robert's saying if he wants to comment, he does. Okay, so I guess I don't even know. I guess there is some sort of limitation. I always thought anybody could just. Well, wait a minute. I've had other people join and make comments that weren't. At least I didn't think they were on my subscription base. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I have to trust Robert on this one. Yeah, he's saying yes. So, Jay Living, weld up the hole with a a nicest rod and drill and tap. I don't think you meant nicest. What's the word you're trying to use here? Blow up the hole with a something rod. Oh, die-cast. Die-cast rod. Okay. Bob Shoemaker. Tad late, but here. Well, glad you're here, Bob. What about Bob? Jay living 105 foot-pounds of torque on the heads. Okay. Well, there's something definitely wrong with, I mean, I've never seen head gaskets blow. Roger, you may be able to use a keen cert to repair the head bolt or the head bolt threads. If it is out of location, a twin cert, double helicoil, probably won't fix the location, but a keen cert might. So, Roger would know. That's one of his specialties on aircraft stuff. I've never even heard of a keen cert, so I don't know what that is, but I would take Roger's word for it. Dave Tyson, I am a Marine tech. Okay. Michael will pack the Marine machine shop, may be able to install a time cert. Looks like a solid oversized helicoil. Yeah, I did time certs in my son's Camry years ago, but they weren't. I mean, they were straight. So I don't know if that would, how good that would hold up with a hole that's crooked. Rusty says, I know he watched last week's after the fact. Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. Lewis, the head bolts are all going into water jackets. Yeah. Yep. Harvey, Rally Cat Garage. Hello, Barry. Happy Monday. Always a fire call right before your show. Again, better late than never. That's all right. Glad you're able to go out and help take care of that. Robert, I thought you had comments set to subs only. I do know Jerry couldn't post comments a long time ago, even though she was subbed and logged in. All of a sudden, it was finally fixed, but it took a while. I don't know that I have those kind of restrictions anywhere. I know I've had to block people on YouTube that were trying to do all kinds of stupid stuff. And I've left that alone. I haven't changed. I mean, I didn't continue that. I left it open to just about anybody. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any restrictions or not. Jerry's Garage Money Pit. I have done measurements on my car, and I have a car I'm thinking to replace both frame rails. I watched your video on video 12 on Brooklyn Pony. It seemed like you had a frame for the support of the car. All I had was a body dolly. There was no dedicated jig system at all. That was just a body cart. So that was just 4 posts that allowed it to sit on the rocker panels, and that's all that was. You could do the same thing with jack stands. If you were to take your car, I know you have it on a lift right now. If you could set the car, you could still do it on the lift probably, just as long as you had everything level and you put jack stands on the lift, if it was capable of doing that, and put them on the frame rails, on the pinch weld. That would be the same thing. That's what the body cart, all it did. I just had it sitting on the frame rail, on the rocker pinch welds on that body cart. So there was no jig or anything like that. It was just, I adjusted it to where it worked. So Harvey says we'd be looking for a new coffee cup soon. Yeah. No, right now I'm going to stick with, I know what you're talking about, but right now I'm going to keep using my Steelers cup. They won again. So I'm celebrating with that. But no, I don't need the other cup anymore. Nick Moss says stuff with, I can never say that word. I don't know why. I have a hard time. I'm not even gonna try it. I hate saying that word. I don't like the way it's spelled. But he's talking about the keen certs. So quinoa or whatever it is. Don't work with. Don't didn't work, Roger. What the heck? Lewis, how about using a countersink on for the? No, countersink won't work. You're gonna have to start all over. Either you got to get the. I mean, you've got to restore the threads in the correct location, no matter what. So, Robert says the problem with the insert is getting one long enough. Otherwise, both mentioned are really good. There you go. And Jay Living, C6AEU GT14 head bolts. Okay. So, sound like the head bolts were good, but I don't know. Something's really off if the head gaskets blew out. Roger says, I don't know. Quinoa didn't work. You must not have used correct ratio and fast weld. Try again. It'll work next time. And Nick says, well, all right, we'll see. Okay. All right. I have something else that I'm gonna share with everybody because this turned out to be really really cool. As y'all know, I've had Jade. I've been working on Jade off and on since 2013. Now, what you may not know is Jade was really the first car done in this garage. Because prior to that, I had the body shop with a partner, and all the work that was being done there. Well, I take that back. I worked on the dune buggy in here, and I worked on a Model A in here while I was working at the body shop. Okay, and those cars were painted at the body shop. So in 2013, there was a separation of us from the body shop, and that very week, the first the video you see on Jade doing the torque boxes. That was the first video I did after I left the body shop. So 2013, I think it was. And I've had that car, so 11 years. And I've done a lot of things to it. It's probably, to be honest, I would say it's and I think I could stand on this, saying it is the most documented Mustang on YouTube. I think I can comfortably say that. Well over 100 videos on that car from start to finish. So there's nothing hidden. There's nothing that is, kept a secret on it. Everything is there. Everything can be seen. So when I got the car, it was a mess. You saw in the first video, I actually think the very first video I shot with like my phone, just trying out my phone to see if it would be a good tool, but it wasn't very good at that time. And the car all the parts were stuffed in the trunk. There were parts inside the car. The engine was halfway taken apart. All kinds of stuff just scattered, and it was a mess. And that's just the way I got it, because that's the way the condition the guy had left it in. So when I was going through that car, you look through stuff, and this folder was in the glove box. Now, I'm not going to give you much information in that, but this has a bunch of receipts in it. It has some insurance cards. The guy that I bought it from, his name's on the front of this on a sticky note. And I have the bill of sale, and I have everything from that time period. So as I was going through that car, I found that pouch or folder in the glove box. And so I held on to it. I've held on to that this whole time. And ended up that I thought that I'm going to be selling the car, and I haven't advertised it anywhere, but I had a couple people locally interested. So I thought, you know what? Perhaps the name in that folder, the other name of the previous owner, maybe he'd be interested in it. And there was a business card in there, and his phone number was on it. And this is from years ago. So I didn't know the timeline. I knew that the receipts were from the early 2000s, I mean, late 90s. I thought, well, maybe this guy is still, whatever, maybe he's interested. So I sent him a text message, and sure enough, the guy responded, and he we went back and forth a few times, and I was hoping maybe he'd be interested in buying Jade back. So we communicated, we shared some information. Come to find out, the car, I knew it was a factory AC car, and it actually was a factory power steering car, but it was the power assist cylinder, not like power steering box. Drum brakes originally and all that. So anyway, he came by yesterday. Him and his two kids that are teenagers, and another young man that was with him, and his eyes lit up. I mean, he was grinning from ear to ear. He had that car from 1989 through 2006. So he's owned that car for 17 years, owned it for 17 years. And what he had told me was he was a second owner of that car. And so he may actually have some connection to the original owner, maybe. So he was pretty excited because he sold it in 2006. And the guy that bought it from him had said that he was going to hot rod this thing, like he was going to cut the roof off of it or something and do all kinds of weird stuff to it. And so he kind of regretted selling it to that guy, but he knew he couldn't keep it anymore. At that time, it was a running, driving car when that other guy got it. Had a black vinyl roof on it, but the other guy stripped the roof off, took all kinds of stuff apart, and then let it sit basically for 7 years, and then offered it to me. I just bumped into him at a parts store one day, and he said, "Hey, you want to buy a Mustang?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So, anyway, this guy shows up. His name was Andy. So Andy shows up, and he's just grinning, and we shared a lot of information back and forth. He told me stories about him driving the car and losing control on a wet road and doing fishtailing the thing, trying to get it back under control, and taking it to Panama City on spring break. And he drove it up north somewhere a few times. So he had some great experiences with the car, and he was able to share that information with his kids. They were pretty excited about it too. And he sat in the car. I took some pictures of him, and he said, it still smells the same. And I thought, that's pretty cool. We all have those memories of how something, maybe a new car smell or something like that, or whatever, cooking food. And he was like, it still smells like the same car. And I showed him everything that I did to it, showed him pictures of it, all this stuff. And he said he was going to try to get me some more information from whenever he had it. Now, the only thing I'll share with you at this point is he had provided me with a picture, and I'm just going to put it up in here. I'm not going to put it on the stream. But here's a picture of him as probably 17, 18 years old, and his dad standing in front of Jade. And I just thought that was so cool. This was probably 89 or 90, and he was a junior in high school. And he said that when he got the car, he had it repainted, and then had it repainted a second time. And I said, yeah, I know, because it never got unpainted. Like it had, I have pictures of it on Facebook. It's like a tree ring, where I ground out all the stuff to get the bare metal, and it was like green, primer, green, primer, green, primer, green. It was layers and layers of paint. But it was so cool to hang out with him, and unfortunately it started raining on us, or I would have let him drive the car. I would have let him just take it down the road, and enjoy it. But here's a picture of him and me standing next to the car, and so it made my day. It really, oh, it made more than my day. It probably made my year, to be able to interact with him and share those memories. So never give up, right? There may be a chance that somebody along the line can find their car. Maybe looking for a car. You've heard stories of it before, but I was really, really, really happy about it, and I'm hoping that maybe he can get me some more information, and maybe get me some more pictures, because if I can get those pictures, I will post them onto my Facebook page and just update the stuff on it. But just really cool. And his kids, teenagers, they were really interested in it, because you look at, as we all do, like parents talk about something, and you may hear the stories, or you may not. I don't know, but if they can put their hands on something solid and say, "Yeah, this was my car, and I drove this when I was this age," it was just kind of fun. So, just thought I'd share that with you. Let's see, Gig'em Garage, late to the party. Good evening, Kevin here. Okay, so that's Kevin. I called out your name earlier to the wrong guy. Nick Moss, you planting some crops there, Barry? Some really small crops? She thinks my tractor's sexy. Yes. Yeah, Nick, let me tell you. This showed up on Marketplace. It is a 1964 wheel horse, okay? And I got it pretty cheap, but it didn't run, and I didn't know if it would run, and it had an old Kohler engine on it. And I said, in fact, the engine's over there, the Kohler. I said, I'm not even going to mess with that thing. So I figured out, I went on Amazon, and I bought a new engine for it. It had a 3/4 inch exit shaft, or output shaft, let's say. I did a few modifications, tapped some new holes and whatever, and mounted up the engine and fired it up, and now I can drive it down to my mailbox and get my mail. And maybe, my grandson will start riding it around. Because that was part of the reason. One of the reasons was I was trying to find a little tractor that I could pull cars around. So, like, if I wanted to pull a roller out of here, I have to get my truck out, hook up straps, pull it out, all that sort of thing. And I thought, well, if this little tractor will pull, then I'll just use it. I don't have to get my truck and get it out of the way. And I also discovered, this is going to sound funny, but the width on that thing is like 32 inches on the wheels. And so if I really, really try hard, I could be able to pull, maybe it'll pull something into my paint booth in the back, and I could drive the tractor through my entry door for the paint booth, because it's 36 inches. So we'll have to see. But yes, I have a little tractor now. Rusty sent you a pic of the 65 altogether. Okay, let me I'm going to delete one of your other pictures you sent, and I don't know if I downloaded that already. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, let me download this quick, and you can get a look at it. Wait a minute, is that the same picture or not? Okay, I don't know if that was the same picture I just deleted, but it can't be, because you had sent me. Okay, you sent me that picture previously. So now you've got it with, nice. That's really nice. I like that. Good job. Very cool. Very cool. Michael Pellegrini, was the head gasket facing the correct direction? Ford has forward-facing steam ports. That's a good point. That is a good point. I'm talking about the cylinder heads on the 390. Yeah. Good point, Michael. Nick says I have a bunch of old receipts and old phone numbers that came with my car too. I thought about doing the same and reaching out to them just to hear about the car. Yeah, I mean that's. I just took a chance. I was like, you know what? If it's the wrong number, doesn't matter. Mark says cool story. Yes, I agree. Dave Britton. Interesting to find some history on the car. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, he owned it for 17 years. That's he's had it longer than I have. Steel Ponies Jeff. The guys from Mustang Owners Museum podcast say everyone has a Mustang story. They might. I've got a bunch of Mustang stories. Nick Moss says, I love it. Looks cool. I almost feel like you should give it a cool retro paint job. What do you mean? That is a retro paint job. That's a 1964 wheel horse. They all came red. That's how they came. Red. And Mark says, looks great, Rusty, talking about the car. Yeah, it does. That looks really good. You know, that's the hard part with these old cars. I mean, I can see how straight that looks, at least in this picture. We want them to be like a Mercedes or something, you know, where they're perfect. And I'm saying Mercedes, like if you buy a high-end whatever, high-end foreign car, Rolls Royce, Mercedes, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. The gaps are always dead on. There's no funny overlap when you run your finger across a door gap, you know, stuff like that. And that's what we want. That's really what we want. But it's also, the reality is that's not how they were made. So I know for me, I feel like I sort of do a disservice with the effort that I put into it, making them as straight as I possibly can, because that's not how they came. And that's where I'm struggling with the Cobra Jet, because I'm like, you know, and I still probably won't get it exact, like laser straight, because it's just not worth it. That car, they wanted it more original, and so in that respect, original doesn't mean it had zero perfect, you know, panels. So we'll see. But it's always a challenge. Rusty, I bet he wanted the car back. I think he subconsciously would have liked to have had the car back, but I don't think he's in a position where he was willing to, you know, buy it. So, John Doe, I'm working on a 68 coupe right now. Took me till 40 to get my first old Mustang. Well, that's cool. Go look at my Jade videos. Go look at my Jade. If you're doing a 68, like I said, probably the most documented Mustang on YouTube is my 68, known as Jade. Nick says, no, like an old Army or Navy tractor they taxi the planes with or something. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm too lazy, Nick. I got it running. That's all I wanted to do. Now you're going to, it's like, oh, no, I don't want to paint. It's all red. I'm going to leave it. But I get your point. Real Nautical Fishing. Hey, Barry and all. Thank you for your service. At what point of rust do you think it's time to call a Mustang a fastback conversion? Looking at my coupe today, and as much as I love it, I'm not sure. Okay. The difficulty with that is what's rusted. And what, you know, like I've got a 67 out there that has rust in the roof. It's got rust at the pinch well, or at the overlap of the sail panel, you know, the roof where it comes down. It has rust in the speaker shelf. I mean, it has rust in weird places. And along with that, somebody attempted to put in new A-pillars and they butchered it, screwed all that up. To me, that car is a good candidate for a fastback conversion. It's got a good floor pan. It's got a good frame rails, all that stuff. However, I'm not going to do that to that car. At least that's not the intent right now. I'm going to try to put that car back together as a coupe. Now, the other 68 that I have sitting here is going to be a donor car for a 68 fastback. Now, you have to look at what's bad on those cars. So what's rusted, and what does it benefit, or what's going to take to fix it. So, like the Cobra Jet, I basically replicated that car. I took dynacorn panels and I made it to mimic the original car. That's all I could do because everything was so bad. So you have to kind of judge it out to say what am I going to benefit? Like if is it just a quarter panel that's bad? Are their frame rails bad? There's a lot of pieces that you have to think about. And I just brought home a truckload of everything to build a 68 fastback. So inner structure, there's a lot to weigh into it, but I can't say at what point do you draw a line and say, this is whenever I want to, cut it up and turn it into a fastback. Okay, you got to really look into it pretty hard. Rick Stevenson, we saw that original panel gaps look like when we were at the NPD museum. Yes. Yeah, especially in the early cars. They were just terrible. I mean, just terrible. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to make it that bad. But I also don't want to make it so straight that it just doesn't look natural in some sense. So the originality of the car is gone because it's mostly new panels. But an original car, they would not have had that great shape. I've looked at cars that are on for sale at various other sites that are original cars, and I mean you can see where the doors not lined up correctly, and the it never will line up, or the deck lid and the extensions, they don't line up. They just didn't. So John Doe, I'm going to make people mad. I'm not using traditional Ford running gear, but it's my car, and I'll build it how I want. I will all-wheel drive. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't make me mad. I mean, it's all in what you want to do. As long as you're not, see, I look at it like this: as long as you're not cutting up something like a GT or a Shelby or a Mach 1, and that's in good shape. It's kind of like I've always wanted to have a 1931 Model A pickup, but I don't want to have it as an original pickup. I want it as a hot rod. So 32, 34, 31, somewhere in that range, I would love to have it as a hot rod. Now, if I got a hold of one of those as an original truck, I wouldn't mess it up. I wouldn't cut it up. I would leave it original and just keep it that way. But if somebody else had already cut it up, that gives me free reign the way I look at it. So I guess you kind of see what I'm saying. A regular old car that doesn't have any special features, it doesn't really matter in my opinion. They made hundreds of thousands of these cars, and some of them were pretty simple, plain cars. I'm not gonna get mad at you for doing any of that. Nick Moss, what are you using? EcoBoost and F-150 four-wheel drive. Okay. Robert, I like resto mods with improvements, etc. All-wheel drive would be cool. Not sure what donor fits best. And he says, nope, Audi. Okay. And Evo 8 donor for the drivetrain would be an option too. Nick is saying, which power plant? C&J Hoyt, thank you all for your service. Nautical, keep it as a coupe. Too many fastbacks anymore. That's a good point too. That is. I mean, I get it. John Doe, not yet. Probably a 4.2 or supercharged V6, leaning toward V8 for the sound. And he says, I'm a huge Ford guy. I just want it to drive super nice. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that are doing the body swaps now. Basically, that's what you're going to be doing, is setting the body on an Audi chassis or whatever. That's a big, big thing now. Lots of people are doing that sort of stuff. And I know that people have done it with Mustang bodies, the old bodies, putting them on a new Mustang body or chassis. But the problem they run into is the width. For some reason, I don't know why, the new cars are wider, almost like 10 inches wider than an old Mustang. So when people do that swap, they've got to put flares on, or they have to do some crazy body mods to make it fit on top of the late model chassis. So, but a lot of people are doing the body swap stuff. So, Nick Moss, I don't understand why that would make it drive nicer, but sounds cool. Well, I get what he's saying. If it's got all the features, all-wheel drive, ABS, analog brakes, all the updated stuff, that makes it a little more fun to drive. Michael Pagliarini, Ken Block's Mustang, yeah, that's a beast. That's all just a body. That's just sheet metal on a race car chassis. C-State Orange Trait, yes, the guys that have ruined rare Mustangs drive me insane. Yeah. I can't see cutting up a GT or GTA or anything that's got some rare value to it. It just doesn't make sense to me. John Doe, it's just an old 68. Already had it on rotisserie and blasted and got it in primer, doing all of it at our small shop. We love building cars. Yeah. Okay. I get it. And John Doe says, Nick, if I had to buy all the suspension and everything that goes along with it, it would cost over $15K. I can buy a Dynacorn for $2K and no, not a body swap, just make the driveline work. Okay. Well, that's even better then. If you can keep all that stuff under it, the original floor pans and all that sort of thing. And he says, my pops built a 68 fastback 289 turbo 800 horse SEMA car. It's way nice to drive. I want to daily mine. Okay. That would be cool. And Rusty, I watched a BMW body swap with a 65, 66 coupe Casey's Customs on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. I get it that there's various choices out there, as far as what you can put under these cars. Like I did the swap on my 68 GMC, which I put a 2006 Chevy 2500 HD chassis underneath it. That's a pretty simple swap when it comes down to it. You're just using a full frame from a truck, putting another cab on it. So it's not that complicated. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there. Norris Net. Hey Jeff, glad you're here. John Doe, Casey's custom build was terrible, to be honest. I like his channel though. Yeah, I've probably not seen it. There's not many. I don't get many opportunities to watch what other people are doing, and the difficulty for me, I'm already doing that stuff. So if I'm watching, I may if I have a question about something, like say a paint detail, I may research it more on YouTube. So like when I did the 69 and I wanted to put the red on it and know how it was applied and where it was applied, I'll research stuff like that. Or if there's a painting technique that influences the outcome, like how it's gonna, where's the overspray, that sort of thing. More often than not, I will look up that sort of thing because I just don't know. Not that I even keep a record of that necessarily. I'll just save one of those videos in my playlist and come back to it later, and then I'll watch those kind of videos. Say, okay, now I see what they're doing, spraying this, and the overspray went this way, and that sort of thing. But in general, if it's metalwork or fabrication, there's really not much I'm going to learn, I don't think. There's some things I may see a different technique or something like that, but I don't watch something that maybe in the entertainment bracket of, what B is for build or whatever, where they hacked up a Mustang and it looked like a dirt track car or something. I don't remember. But I just don't get into that. Nick Moss, yeah, his build was hackery. Yeah, I've seen. I don't know if you're the same guy you're talking about. I saw some pictures of a guy who cut a Mustang in half, like a early Mustang, and stretched it over a body or something. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, nope, I'm not even watching. Not gonna do it. The Dutchman, hi everyone from Geneva, Illinois. Mustang Jeff here. Oh, okay, glad you're here, Dutchman. Mustang Jeff. Robert, I have watched a few videos of random builds, and most of them all work under way too big of a shade tree. The average viewer thinks they are doing it right, but they just don't know better. Yeah, yeah, and it's unfortunate that you know, some of the hackery that goes on, or the stuff that you don't see, is even worse. You know, they'll yeah. I try not to do that. I don't do that. You know, I can't make myself butcher something just to get it together. I think people have seen, and I try to show that stuff whenever I struggle with something. And people comment all the time. They're like, "Do you ever get worked up? Does this stress you out?" It may at time, get me frustrated, and I may get frustrated at the hackery that other people have done. That may be shown in one of my videos. But whenever I am, and maybe it's just this how I am, but I like the challenge. I've jokingly at some point in one of my videos years ago I said, I feel like I could save the Titanic if I had enough time and metal. That's kind of how I view things. It doesn't scare me that it's rusted in half. Let me add it. Let me try to fix it. I think it's inherent in a lot of us that we like that challenge of figuring something out and how can I make it work. And so I just I'm not typically intimidated by much of anything. But I really like to have the show that I can get the results that I want. And I if I were just to take something and slather it up with half a can of Bondo, and yeah, I could do that. I could sand it out. You never know the difference. But I just can't make myself do that. It doesn't work. John Doe had like 10-inch flares. It was special. Oh yeah. Nope. That's like there's several people that I've actually blocked their channels, or maybe their other accounts, just because they're such. I won't even go into all that. It just drives me crazy. The Dutchman, good to be here. Mustang Guru, glad you're here. He says, I hate that hackery. Yeah. Nick says hi to Dutchman. Dave Tyson, I like Metal Fab. Yeah. I love doing that stuff. Richard, was any of your dynacorn sheet metal damaged in that huge shipment? The only thing was messed up was the corner of the roof panel it wasn't even really, I can't say it was bent, but it was rolled. I think it was the right front, and it's going to straighten right out. It's, that metal is it's not cast iron, it's just sheet metal. But it was kind of rolled down a little bit, and I'll just straighten it out. It's not worth them sending me another panel. Robert, I have 2 gallons of Bondo hiding my hackery. Nah, I can't pull that stuff and sleep at night. I show the flaws in my stuff. Yeah. The Dutchman, mine's a 66, 109,000 out of 250,000 made. Wait a minute. Made it worth something, probably not just to me, which is okay with me. I hate hackers. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they made tons of them. Dutchman, mine is your average Mustang, no up and extras. I'm not changing a thing. Yeah. Well, it's crazy some of the stuff that is even still out there. Um, and I have to see if I have these pictures. A buddy of mine, and I'm hoping that he can get me some more information. He sent me these pictures couple weeks ago. So this is a 67 fastback sitting, right? Next picture, it's got floor console, bucket seats. I think it even has air conditioning by the looks of it. I'm like, okay. Next picture. It's a 390 car. 390 car. Sitting. And I'm like, dude, where is it? And how do I get it? So I don't know if there's any potential to get a hold of get a hold of that car or not. But there's still stuff out there that's either rusting or hidden in the woods or something. But yeah. The Dutchman, sorry for misspelled. Missed. Okay, it's a spell check. Rick Stevenson and I try to watch some of the other restoration shows on YouTube between the hackery, the language, and then trying to be funny. I just couldn't watch it. Yeah, and I have to fully admit that I take it too seriously, and not in a bad way, but I feel like if somebody's willing to watch what I'm doing, I'm not here to make jokes, and I laugh at stuff. I talk about something, and I may laugh because I find it funny that I did something, and here I go again, and I give a chuckle a little bit. But yeah, I don't. You'll never hear foul language on my channel. That much I can guarantee you. And trying to be funny, I just don't. I don't mind kind of being a little bit joking around once in a while, but yeah, I just can't. I just can't go down that road. John Doe, my dad scrapped a '68 GT390 fastback a while ago. Now it's worth $20K rusted out. Oops. Yep. That's how it's working right now. Dave Britton, I am finding with the silent generation and the baby boomers getting older, they are finding they don't have time to finish their cars, so they are selling them. The price is going down on a lot of cars. Yeah, and it also depends on what the cars are. As an example, let's say 55, 56, 57 Chevys. Yes, there's still interest in those, but the people that drove those cars when they were young, they're disappearing. And then you get into the 60s cars, there are people who are like, that would have been a second car or something whenever I was a young teenager for me to get something like that. So it's that time shift coming forward. What's the next thing? The Fox body Mustangs are still popular, but now it's just keeps moving that timeline forward. So like hardly anybody is interested in an original car from the 40s. You don't see that anymore. You'll see them hot rodded, stuff like that, but most of the time people that own them are in their 70s or 80s. They're like but it was a car they may have had when they were young. So always that time shift moving forward. Dutchman, I'm always looking for another 66 convertible. Yeah, I've seen a few of those up for sale recently. Steel Ponies, thank you for your insight and your time showing us how to bring back these wonderful cars back to life. Yeah, well, thank you for that. Dutchman, Chris, the owner of Mustang Restorations, Inc., MGA's, that black stretch Mustang limo. Yeah, I've not seen that. That should never happen. Rick Gang Good YouTube channel is this and that garage. Chad is a good down to earth guy that works with what he has. He is worth a watch for sure. Okay, thank you, Rick. Dutchman, I love mine. I'm looking for more. Okay. Michael Hurt, thank you so much for all your videos. My sons and I are working on a 6x Mustang. Nothing special, but making memories and learning along the way. I am in East Tennessee, so not too far away. Well, awesome. Glad to hear that you are making memories with your family. John Doe, that's how I got my 68 coupe. Kid didn't know what he was doing, so I got it for $1,200 driving with new full interior. Oh man, then you stole that. Yeah. Yeah. Dutchman, it's hard to find anything that hasn't been changed. That is true. Nick, problem is if you don't update it, the car is too dangerous to drive. With the NASCAR wannabe dips on the road, I'm surely not one of them. Yes, yeah, it's hard to, like, I take Jade out, I go for a ride, I'll go cruising somewhere. It's not going to be a daily driver. I don't ever intend to do that. It'll be for a cruise, car show. I don't want to run the risk of having somebody plow into me just because they're texting and don't pay attention. Gary McDowell, wait a minute. If you know, I'm guessing he's saying is if you know where an old Mustang is at, keep trying to buy it. I just purchased a 66 code, A code that I have been trying to buy for 35 years. Yeah. Yep. And never give up on it. Yes. Thank you, Gary. Glad you chimed in. Robert, part of my safety upgrade is going to be doing away with the spear of a steering column. Those things are scary. I agree. That is definitely an upgrade that needs to happen. Yeah, it's. You think about it, it's like, why would they do that? Why would you have this solid shaft coming up out of the steering box going right into your chest? Whoops, John Doe says, yeah, my dad's been trying to get a 68, I think, California Special for over 30 years, still trying. Yep. And the Dutchman, so what's your recommendation looking for these cars and would you be interested in help me find one in the future? I mean, I look at these cars. I see them on Marketplace. There is on Facebook. There tends to be a bunch of them, at least here in the Atlanta area. 65 and 6 cars are popping up quite a bit. I would avoid stuff that's from up north. Just because rust is always bad. So you try to shy away from that. I might be able to help you find one, but you'd have to contact me either through email or, if you're on Facebook, you could follow me on my Joe Daddy's page. Nick says, yeah, 68 was the only year for the California Special. Yep. John Doe says, thanks, Nick. I couldn't remember for sure. Yeah. And Dutchman says, I'm in northern Illinois. Yeah, that's definitely not the best zone for Mustangs. Dave Britton. We had a 59 Chevy in our junkyard that was hit hard in the front, and the steering wheel was sticking up on that spear against the roof of the car. Yeah. Yeah, that was not a great idea. And Dutchman says, I know. Yeah. The sad part is, in the neighborhood right behind me, there's a 65 or 6 that's been sitting outside in their driveway probably 20 years. And I remember going over there and trying to say, hey, what are you going to do with this? Do you want to sell it? No, I'm going to fix it up one day. No, you're not. So it's been fully exposed to the weather. And now I think they put a tarp kind of on it, but the tarp has already fallen off of it. They have no interest in finishing that thing. In fact, I'll say this. I snuck over there when they weren't home because when I was doing, I don't know if it was the light blue Mustang or Mystique. I think it was the light blue Mustang. I needed to have the location on the fender for the emblems. I didn't know where they went. So I snuck over there and I held up a tape measure and I took pictures so I could replicate that on the side of the car. Robert, I'd go for a vert as they have headroom for normal height people. Yeah. Well, I know where there's a 69. I know where there's a 69 convertible. I can help you get that. John Doe, I'm in Michigan. I agree with that. Yep. Tom's Backyard Workshop, just popped in to give a like and help the algorithm. I can't stay long. Yeah, I'm about done here. I got about maybe 2-3 minutes left. Dutchman, thanks for your insight, my friend. You're welcome, sir. Norsenet, Jeff, thinking about adding a roaster shop chassis this time to the build. Ooh, that would be quite the upgrade. Michael Pagliarini, up north, that's not right. You don't like the Flintstone edition? No. Nope, I grew up there. I know what they're like. Pennsylvania cars, I already know. Nick Moss says, gotta go. Been fun. Have a good night. You too, Nick. Mark, most old cars are not very crash worthy. Oh, no, they're definitely not. They are definitely not crash worthy. Okay. All right, I'm going to call it a night. This has been pretty good. Had a lot to talk about. And, making progress on the Cobra Jet. And we'll see how far I can get. I mean, I want to get it painted, obviously. But I gotta get everything taken care of. To get it to that point. And maybe some detail work has to happen. But right now it's looking pretty good. So, like I said, that'll be it. I want to thank everybody for being here. I do plan to be back next Monday at 7 o'clock. And we'll see what we can talk about then. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.